If you're a startup, scale up, or lead a small and medium-sized businesses and you want your team to innovate and bring new ideas faster to the market, you're at the right place. I want to tell you a little bit about our faster time to market workshop that will help you and your team execute faster on new ideas while reducing risk. So just a bit of context, my name is Michel Gagnon. I've worked in a lot of different companies. I used to work many years ago in a $20 billion company who was making planes and trains. I've also been a management consultant for PwC, one of the big four. I sat on the executive committee of a $1.5 billion programmatic advertising company and also led a 100-employee ad tech company based in Berlin. I've mentored hundreds of scale-ups and startups, helped them expand into new markets or validate new ideas. And I'm also the co-founder of Stunena and an instructor on growthleap.io, which is our online training platform. I'm not telling you this to tell you how great I am. My point is I want you to understand that I've seen a lot of innovation and execution problems across different types of companies, whether as a consultant or as an employee or a leader in a smaller or bigger organization. And there are typical issues around innovation and new ideas. I've said it myself quite a few times. Why is this taking so long? You're in a meeting, somebody has a great idea, and then you think that you'd start getting some traction or some results in the coming days or weeks, and then it takes forever. Another thing I've heard quite frequently is our competitors are always ahead of us. Why didn't we think of that before? We already spent too much time and money on an initiative that's going nowhere. This idea sounds good, but it could sink the company. There's a lot of big bets that teams are making in smaller or bigger organization without having a clue if this idea is going to actually generate the outcomes it's expected to generate. It's a great idea, but we don't have the bandwidth to implement it. A lot of companies come up with innovation programs, but they don't have the bandwidth to actually implement or test these ideas. So if it sounds familiar to you, don't worry. I've launched a lot of innovative ideas myself, and some work pretty well, others not. And what's important for you is that fast execution is your superpower. There's no such thing as a competitive advantage that lasts. Everybody wants to build an unfair advantage, but in general, that unfair advantage is your ability to execute fast because it will allow you to save time and money. You'll be able to validate ideas and increase your level of confidence in these ideas in a pretty speedy way. In some cases, you'll be a first mover, or you'll be able to be a very close follower. You will reduce risk, and you'll also be able to adapt to market changes and pivot quickly. There's new technology coming up, this AI. If you can execute fast, you have definitely an advantage. The other thing you have to keep in mind is if you can do this, you will save so much cost. If you're a startup with a 50K burn rate, imagine working for 3, 4, 5, 6 months on the wrong idea. If you are a bigger organization, let's say you make 20 million a year and you have a 30% staff cost to turnover ratio, you could end up easily spending 100K to $500,000 on this new idea without knowing if it's going to pan out. So think about this. The problem with how innovation is run in many companies is that it's basically how the ideas are presented and assessed. Very frequently, the idea is presented as a sales pitch. I believe it's going to work. I'm convinced. And if you have a bigger organization, you'll frequently see pre-meetings to get some pre-buy-in from key stakeholders. So the idea is to actually pitch and convince people. Another typical syndrome is the hippo syndrome, or the highest paid person's opinions. Very frequently, the leader, the most senior person in the company is going to say, I think this is a great idea. And people will naturally rally behind that idea, even though it might not be the best. The evaluation of ideas are often superficial. Discussions end up derailing with a lot of disorganized chat around what are the most important criteria to assess that idea. Another key problem is how these ideas are then implemented. You will frequently see somebody asking for a business case, 3-5-year business cases. We know post-COVID that very long-term planning does not work anymore. Things are changing too fast. Then they will set up a big project plan with a long list of requirements. They'll have a project champion, project lead. And the problem is that they go too big too early. And the CEO of Maven said, very frequently, your vision is bigger than your insights. Right? You don't have enough evidence to know if that idea is going to is promising and it's going to generate what you're expecting. And finally, most companies are not great at execution, so you have slow time to action, and then you set up these slow rhythms of meetings where you have a meeting for that specific project every week or every other week, and then you waste a lot of days just moving to the next milestone. As I said, I've tried a lot of different things in the past. I had some good successes and a lot of failures. One of the big ones is I've wasted a lot of energy, months, and money trying to launch a platform in India that never took off. And we just did everything wrong. I also got a team of product managers and engineers to build a product that generated a couple of grands over 3 to 5 years. That was not my finest hour. But over the years, I've figured things out. I've learned so much. I've copied everything I could and stole everything I could stole from the smart minds in this world. And we managed to generate 5-figure sales in a couple of weeks from a new product idea without having to write a single line of code. We also managed to generate about $1 million in revenue from a new ad product using existing technology and building our confidence level along the way. So what's the big difference? There's a better approach to innovation. That's what I want to talk to you about today. And the solution is we've decided to design a fast time to market workshop for people like you to make sure that you save the money, you reduce the risk, and you have a team that's really performing and bringing the right new ideas to market extremely quickly. It's a workshop and a done with you implementation. We run these workshops that are live, remote, or in person. They usually last around 4 hours. And we teach them key execution and innovation concepts so that everybody has the same vocabulary. It's just like any sports. Teams have playbooks, they have vocabulary so that they know what they're talking about. A company, very frequently, you'll have the marketing team who has its marketing toolbox, the salespeople, P&E, and then they don't talk the same language. So you want the same playbook for everybody with the same concepts. And then we get into the hands-on real work. We walk you through the process using your unique company culture, processes, tech stack, and priorities so that it's extremely relevant. It's something that you are applying as we go through the workshop. We also have follow-up implementation services if you're interested, if you want to move faster, and if you need, maybe your team needs a bit more hand-holding along the way. So let's look at what's this workshop. We cover 4 key elements: prioritization, minimum viable test, which is a very critical concept, mindset and habits, and that metric-based execution. When we think about the prioritization framework is that we will, with the team, agree on a set of criteria that will help you structure your discussion. You'll be able to score each idea instead of having an empty or big discussion with a lot of convictions and opinions. We don't really care about that. We want the team to pick and prioritize the most promising ideas, right? So that's the first part. You'll get all of our tools and frameworks, and we'll make sure that they fit into your existing meetings and processes so that we're not adding something to your existing operation, but we make sure that it fits in, and it fits into your tech stack. The other part is the minimum viable test, which is not a minimum viable product. So we start by being extremely clear and concise on what the MVT concept is, and this will help you increase your level of confidence in a specific idea so that you don't bet. It's not a gambling game. What you want to be able to do is to discard bad ideas as fast as you can, and having a clear process and a shared collective understanding of how this is done. You'll reduce risk, you'll save costs like I've showed earlier, and you will end up spending your time on promising ideas instead of sinking a lot of time, resources into something that's not going to pan out. And then we help you practice on real examples, right? So it's not a theoretical workshop. We work on your business, on your ideas, and we do this together. Then we have the mindset and habits. Working like this requires a bit of change in terms of mindset and habits. And what makes us different from others, and instead of saying, okay, this is how it should be done. Here are the best practices. We look at your culture, your processes, and your team today and say, look, this is the future state where we would like you to go. This is where you are today. And then we find the best path to actually implement things, understanding the style that you as a leader or as a team have, and also looking at your habits. So one of the things is we want to be able to start developing that innovation habit as fast as we can. We help you set up reminders. We help you reduce friction and make sure that there's the right adoption within your team, and also make sure that you celebrate milestones and wins. Right? This is exactly like a workout and nutrition program. It's easy to give it to you. It's a lot tougher to actually implement. Our big difference for us is to look at where you are today and give you exactly what you need to actually implement that quickly and sustainably. And finally, we have the metric-based execution. Right? So once you have your MVTs, you want to make sure that you focus on the right priorities, on the right growth levers. You have a milestone-based approach. We work with you to actually get that done. And your team will get a shared and common vocabulary, shared process. You'll save time and you'll know exactly what you are in your experimentation path. All right, how do we actually go through this? It's relatively simple. Our implementation path starts with a pre-workshop survey. It's a short online survey, and we'll use the information to make sure that your session, your workshop is fully customized and is extremely relevant for yourself and for your team. Then we usually start with kind of a 15-minute playbook explanation. Make sure that your team understands the key concept and that we get everyone on the same page. And then we get into the actual work, right? So this is not meant to be a lecture. It's really a workshop where we work together on your specific and unique examples or ideas, so that the workshop it's not just a learning experience where you actually get things done. So we get comfortable with the prioritization framework. We work as a team. There's a lot of pitfalls in prioritization. It's very easy to get stuck and to make this a big fuss. We don't want that. We want efficiency, effectiveness. We don't want bureaucracy. So we work together to score real ideas. Then we move to the minimum viable test session, where we practice together designing MVTs. And this is tougher than it looks. The idea is to really go to the bare minimum for your minimum viable test, and also understand what kind of data or how much data or evidence do you need to actually move to the next step. We then get into the habit mindset session. We usually work with you to build an implementation plan, make sure that it fits with the daily work. There's so many examples in my career, but also out there on the internet, of companies who will have these great strategy, great initiatives, but it does not get done in real life. And there's usually a big implementation gap in there, and we have great solutions for you. We'll also review and adjust existing tools that you may have and identify potential obstacles. Then we get to the last part of the workshop, which is the metric-based delivery session. We make sure that you have a clear delivery process, which is not that complicated, but we work with you and your team to define and adjust selected KPIs. Not all companies focus on the same things. There are companies who are very growth-driven, top line. Others are heavily focused on profitability or on launching new products. So we make sure that this part of the process fits with what you need. And finally, we also offer post-workshop coaching and services if that's something that you need. What is very important is this can be a bit like a New Year's resolution, right? If you don't have this accountability and make sure that it's implemented properly afterwards. So this is a great service that we can support you with. We can also reinforce key concepts. Sometimes you start with one team and you want to make sure that this common knowledge is shared across multiple teams. We can be your accountability partner, but this is obviously something that depends on your needs. So that's the actual system that we help you implement in a 4-hour workshop. If you don't work on building this innovation habit, you will most likely struggle and end up with a lot of problems in innovation meetings and how you prioritize, or waking up another day with a competitor who moved faster than you. So I encourage you to schedule a call. What we will be doing is we'll review a little bit your needs and where you are exactly. We'll help you determine your key innovation and execution constraint. And we'll give you an action plan regardless if you decide to work with us or not. Right? I want to make sure that this 45-minute call is useful to you regardless of what you decide at the end. And what we usually do is we make sure that we diagnose a little bit your key constraints and give you like a 5-point action plan that if you decide to go by yourself, you'll be able to start implementing with your team. So stop waiting. Make sure you accelerate your speed to market and innovate faster. Apply below. See you on the other side.